Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to some more Arsenal transfer updates, news, all that stuff. And it has finally it has happened. The King of Zamunda, Sherman Klump, Eddie Murphy, Axel Foley, however you want to name him, he has left the club. He has joined Crystal Palace. Full on deal, and we're gonna talk about it. Of course, Mikel Merino has been revealed as a new Arsenal player. Great news, well, good news, not great news, because it's not the midfielder we all like, but it's a midfielder, obviously. So that is good news. There is some more news, obviously, with some potential domino effects. As weird as it may sound, we will talk about that as well. Potentially Ramsdale going out, Garcia coming in, the backup goalkeeper, maybe some striker and a forward news as well. We definitely have some massive stuff to talk about, so there's definitely some interesting stuff going on, and definitely it will be hella interesting to discuss. But yeah, obviously, main news for today is Merino, is Edu Nketiah, and there is, as I said, some more. So we're gonna get into that in a second. And just before we get into this, if you are new around here, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, because let's be real, it's amazing what you have done in over this past 2 months I've been doing this. It is phenomenal. Of course, destroy and smash and lick and all that stuff, caress that like button, helps the algorithm, spreads the word around, spreads the channel around, and everything definitely helps, all that good stuff. And hey ho, get interactive in the chat, comment if you're watching this as a podcast afterwards, but it is what it is. Let's not drag this too damn long. We are gonna kick things off, straight deep dive into it. First things news, Fabio Vieira fully and officially has gone on loan to FC Porto, and according to Fabrizio Romano, there are some interesting clauses in that loan deal, which definitely is something you don't see too often with Arsenal, in my opinion. There is definitely some good stuff. So first things first, it's a loan. A loan fee will be based on objectives and specific conditions to match during the season. That is actually quite interesting, because for me, they say objectives and specific conditions, right? I would like to know the conditions, because those could be actually quite nuts if you ask me. And on top of that, penalty for Porto. What kind of penalty? They have to pay something or compensate or something if Fabio doesn't play 50% of all the matches. And if it says all the matches, I would just assume that that includes as well Cup, Champions League, and all that stuff. So definitely there is some massive stuff on stakes. There's massive stakes for Porto when they have taken back Fabio Vieira. Big up BX Gunner in the chat. Big up. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you. Hope you're doing well today, because I'm doing fan-freaking-tastic. And Nketiah, King of Zamunda, has left the club. Mwah, big up. Anyways, yeah, it will be very interesting to see. We have to follow Porto now. Just hope we don't play against them again. But yeah, Fabio Vieira will be interesting to see how he develops in Porto, because obviously we sent him for Porto with a broken leg. Kind of have to add that. So it was a weird one. 34 million, 2 years, hasn't done nothing pretty much at Arsenal. So feels like a waste of money. I'm not gonna lie, feels like a waste of money at the moment. So it will be interesting to see what's gonna happen. Big up Kirtan in the chat. We need a striker immediately. 100%. We're gonna talk about potential striker options in a second. We're gonna talk about it in a second for sure. So there will be some interesting stuff, striker / forward. For me, it's a striker, backup for Saka, especially with the news we're gonna discuss in a split second. We will get into that as well. Moving on to Gabriel Jesus. Some smaller news today. To be honest, not that small, because he's one of our only attackers we have in the club left. He did not train today with the squad. He remains injured. Obviously, he had a groin injury. Groin injuries don't heal the quickest, let's just say that. I think he will be out for a week or so, if not even more. Depends on the groin injury. If it's a slight groin injury, it might be 2-3 weeks. If it's a second grade, then it could be a bit yikes. Obviously, the third one is the worst, but I assume it's the first grade, so it's not that serious. I would assume so. But knowing Arsenal, as they always say, he will be back in few weeks. It tends to happen that he's back in few months. So we don't know what's gonna happen, but it's a big blow in a way. This was arguably the last season and last chance for Gabriel Jesus to kick off the season with a bang, not get injured, and prove his worth, because he's getting over 200,000 a week. I think 230,000 a week. So this was definitely the season to prove what is what, and the fact that he's been hit with injury is not great. So if he stays injured and gets more injuries, I think next summer could be the summer we should be letting him go. Moving on, the big one, the king of Zamunda. Edu Nketiah is set to undergo, that was during the day, medicals at Crystal Palace for 30 million, 25 plus 5, and a bit later on, everything was a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Finally, it has happened. Edu Nketiah has left Arsenal. Deal in place between the clubs, 25 million fixed fee plus 5 million in add-ons. Edu Nketiah has accepted to join Crystal Palace 2 days ago already. When the first interest came, it was on Sunday, wasn't it? And he, as soon as the deal for Nottingham Forest fell through, instantly he accepted it. It's kind of interesting. And he's now set to complete the medicals. Permanent move as Arsenal wanted. Green light has arrived. There were some rumors as well when the Forest deal fell through that if Forest, let's just say, would get relegated, Edu Nketiah would have to take about 60-70% wage cut. And obviously he doesn't want to do that. So now, if I think Palace has more chances of staying up, I think he definitely sees that a more feasible option. Now, the question is, they have Mateta, who by looks of things Glasner really loves, and he definitely is going to start. So Edu Nketiah, more than not, I believe would be a backup option. They also have Eduard. Although Eduard has been linked with some moves away, have to talk to Crystal Palace fans more about that, but there'll be some talk, some rumors about that, so it depends how that goes. But 25 million, and finally Eddie has left the club. Now we have 3 days to sign a freaking striker. Goddamn striker. If we're not getting a striker, is it bad we're letting him go? To be honest, he should have gone either way in my opinion. Because for me, it doesn't matter whether he stays or not. Because he doesn't add to the team that much anymore. Because last season, if you look, most of the games he came on, it was the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, where more often than not, the game was already decided. Season before that, he scored some goals. But let's be real, he hasn't scored a home goal since October last year, and he hasn't scored an away goal since December 2 years ago. So definitely he just doesn't score. What happens if Havertz gets injured? Well, definitely there is still Jesus if he's fit. If not, according to Mikel Arteta, he said this himself, by the way, and I'm just quoting. Mikel Arteta said, at the moment we have Havertz, Jesus, and also Leandro Trossard can play there. So technically, how Arteta envisions it, we have options there. What happens if he gets injured? Obviously, then everything will go down the drain. That's why I'm advocating for us to sign a proper striker. We need to sign a proper striker. If we want to challenge properly for the league and maybe even win it, we need to sign a proper striker. There's no excuse, no argument to say that we don't need to sign a proper striker. Because we can use Gabriel Jesus as a backup for Saka, and Gabriel Jesus would be more usable as a winger. Because his best output has been at wing, to be honest. The best season he had for Man City, the best output was at wing. Some of the best performances he even has at Arsenal was the time when he drifts wide sometimes in that Saka position and then goes in. He has had some of the best performances in those instances as well. So I definitely believe that having Jesus as a striker option definitely brings on that down. We cannot win the league. Without... To be honest, there's no difference with Eddie stays here or not. We are not winning the league with him at the top. Just saying that now. Whether he goes or not doesn't add or take away from us that much, in my opinion. Now is the big time. We have 25 million. Add something on top of that, go sign a striker. And there are some rumors, and we're gonna talk about that a bit later on. Forward/strikers, definitely. That's why we need strikers. We can't rely on players like... Exactly, that's the thing. We need well, not Partey maybe at striker, but I get your point. We cannot rely on certain players because there are many players on our team that are injury prone. We have 5 lead-backs at the club at the moment. It's funny how 3 of them are hella injury prone. The rest of them, well, we don't know about Calafiori, and Timber was a freak injury, but Timber is the only consistent one. Because Zinchenko injury prone, Tomiyasu injury prone, Tierney injury prone. Mind you, Tierney actually is less injury prone than Zinchenko and Tomiyasu, if you look at days what they have missed and compared to games and all that stuff. Which is quite interesting. We have 5 lead backs, and none of them are leaving, which is also very, very weird. Very weird for me if you look at this, because there is some good money. Selling Zinchenko easily could have funded as a proper left back or a proper midfielder. Eddie has left, Fabio Vieira has joined, we have discussed that. Now, according to some reports, Jakub Kiwior as well is expected to stay at Arsenal after transfer window closes on Friday. Now, this is very weird. This is a very weird report, in my opinion. Mostly because I was looking at this. It came out, 3, now it's 6. So 3 hours ago. Yet, about an hour before I went live, there were some reports that actually Kiwior might still be on the move. Which is very weird, it's contradicting at the moment. Obviously, since it's end of the window, it's gonna be a mayhem. Maybe some players who say they'll most likely will stay will leave, another way around, they most likely will leave, but they will stay. So we'll have to wait and see what's gonna happen with Kiwior, because they still have been links with Bologna. Bologna want to replace their Calafiori, and they still haven't done that. There were rumors obviously with Juventus, but since Juventus signed Kalulu from AC Milan, I am not sure they're coming back for him at all. So that is the big blow in that instance. In other news, Wojciech Szczesny at 34 has retired from professional football. His contract ended with Juventus. They didn't want to extend him. Didn't go to Saudi and everything. So by the looks of things, he is going... For goalkeeper 34, I would actually say kind of a rather early retirement. I'm not gonna lie. Quite early to retire. Not quite, but a bit early. Gyökeres can be got with Nelson plus 50 million. Yeah, and to be honest, that's true. And of those 50 million, half of it comes from Edu Nketiah. So it's actually not that much. And there are talks that Arsenal are preparing a massive surprise bid toward starting tomorrow or towards the last deadline day. In that time, there is a rumors that Arsenal will be paying sell-out clauses, basically the brains. Not sell-on clauses. Release clauses. Oh my goodness, my brains. Brain fart moments all over the place. Buyout clauses. Definitely. Arsenal will pay that. Release clauses. There are some talks on that definitely happening. 30 million is alright, but lack of reinforcements. Yeah, that is the big case. We have sold Emil Smith-Rowe and Edu Nketiah. We have loaned out with obligation to buy Nuno Tavares, with option to buy Sambi Lokonga. So we have gotten rid of 4 players. Ramsdale is still here, but there is some talks about Ramsdale. We're gonna get to that also in a split second. Bear with me here. So we're gonna talk about that in a second. But the lack of reinforcements, the fact that we have signed only 2 players, month and a half to sign Calafiori and 1 month to sign Merino, it's pretty much the same level of vibes the year when we signed only per Czech goalkeeper, no outfield players. Almost the same level of vibes for me. That's kind of sad that Szczesny, he's kind of is in his prime, isn't he? But obviously Juventus wanted to move on. They signed Di Gregorio on much lower wages, so that opened up chances to sign more youngsters. Obviously the way Thiago Motta wants to play, Szczesny didn't fit. The sad part is he couldn't find another place. Saudi offered him, but I think he wanted too much, I think it was. But yeah, he was kind of in his prime for a keeper. Kiwior might not get game time. Sane, to be honest, not only Sane exposed him, many left wingers exposed him. Obviously, Zinchenko got exposed by everyone, but no, did he? But yeah, Kiwior got exposed by Sane massively. He wasn't just good enough. That left side last year, there was an interview with Premier League managers last year, and pretty much every single one said, if you want to get at Arsenal, go to their left side. It's their weakest point. Now, obviously, with Timber coming in, signing Calafiori depends to see how it's gonna happen, how it's gonna go, whether it's gonna be or still the weakest side. But definitely the left side with Zinchenko, Kiwior, and everyone was the weakest side. So it showed in many games. It showed because we were the most vulnerable in those instances, because Zinchenko provides something going forward. Defensively, he's basically just a cone standing there. Kiwior was playing center back in preseason, which surprised me a bit. Yeah, but to be honest, if you look how he played at center back, it was shambles to watch. To be who was it? The center back, Nichols. Nichols looked 100 times better than Kiwior, because the certain goals we conceded was only because of Kiwior. Only because of Kiwior. Yet when we signed him a year and a half ago, we got told he has beaten Theo Walcott's records for pace or something like that. Yet when we see him on the pitch, it's like watching Mertesacker almost. He's genuinely slow. He's actually not that fast as it was PR'd by the media. So it's a very weird one. And it is what it is. We better thank our defense every single game. Only reason we are getting by. Exactly. Because attack-wise, we are quite struggling and we are quite impotent in that instance. Because we cannot properly score. Set pieces bailed us out big time last year as well. We couldn't score from open play. Mikel Arteta, even in January last year, said, yes, we are scoring goals, but we can't score enough. We are not clinical in front of goal. Yes, we don't have a striker. But in January, we are not signing a striker. Now it's summer, we should sign a striker. No, we still don't sign a striker. So that thing genuinely doesn't make sense for me. Because remember when Manchester City 2-3 years ago won the league? They didn't have a number 9. They played Mahrez there and players like that. They won the league without a number 9. What they do in summer? Go sign a number 9. Erling Haaland, the robot. And we all know what happened afterwards. Which is genuinely quite baffling, to say the least. And the big one. There were news that Mikel Merino will get announced today. And we're gonna get this. Here it is. Official confirmed. Mikel Merino has been announced as Arsenal player. Now we have another midfielder in, which is decent, because for me it's not a groundbreaking signing for Arsenal. Big up Pepper in the chat. Big up, big up, big up. By the way, is it just me? Or does Mikel Merino and Arteta look kind of similar? The beard, the eyebrows and everything. Kind of the haircut as well a bit. Is it just me or is just that's hella weird for me? Anyways, for me Mikel Merino is not as much as raising the ceiling for Arsenal, as improving the team starting 11, as much as bridging the gap from the bench to the starting 11. Because if you look at our bench last year, years before that, the drop off from starting 11 to the bench was pretty much like a Grand Canyon. Genuinely, you could drop a penny in there and it would fall there for ages. It was like a black hole, basically. Now with signing Merino, I would say that the midfield gap is a bit bridged, because let's be real. So Partey gets injured, we have to sub on Jorginho, who already is slow as a snail. Okay, cool. Imagine if Jorginho got injured, who we are subbing on? Mohamed Elneny. Just let that sink in. But Mikel Merino is an Arsenal player. Hopefully he kicks on and does good. Let's see what he does at Arsenal. That is the main thing here. So what are you saying in the chat? Wait, Arteta has to be adamant and tell Edu to do his job properly and sign Osimhen or Gyökeres. That is the case. I think Arteta feels a bit let down, because Arteta can only say the players he wants. All rest of the stuff is up to Edu, is up to Kroenkes and everyone else, Garlic and all them, man. And if they don't deliver, Arteta has all the reasons to be disappointed. And in recent interviews as well, when he has talked about striker situation and signing situation in general, he usually is very vague with answers. He tries to avoid them and stuff like that. But in recent interviews, he has talked, well, we have signed a few players. Obviously, the squad isn't good enough still, in my opinion, and stuff. He kind of is implying that the squad isn't ready. He needs more signings. He usually never does that. He tries to kind of brush it under the rug, cover it all up. But recently, he's been very kind of open about it. For Arteta, obviously, not just in general, but for Arteta. These guys look related. The name, of course, Mikel Squared. We have Mikel Squared. We have Mikel Funhouse. No Diddy, but Mikel Funhouse. We have Mikel Merino. We have Gabi. We have Gabi Martinelli. We have Tommy, and all them stuff. We have all the Mikel Funhouse players. All three of them look alike. Merino is a top signing, quality with an instant impact. He's a decent signing. He's not great signing. He's not a world-class signing, but he's a decent signing in my opinion. Winning mentality, he has gone. At least he has won something, to be honest, compared to Mikel Arteta. He's not a glamour signing, but a top quality. Yeah, he is a decent, good signing. He's not a top quality signing. Although when we moved to Emirates, we got advertised that we will sign world-class players. We get into Champions League, we will sign world-class players. And where are they, basically? Because we haven't signed any of them. Legitimately, we haven't signed any of them. But it is what it is. We digress, we move on. Let's wait on Merino. Exactly, we have to wait and see how he plays. He has played in Premier League, but that was about 7-8 years ago, so we'll see how that goes. Merino will start more games than people think. Oh, I 100% believe so. I think Mikel Arteta's plan is push Reiss down to 6, based on how I have, well, based on what I've seen in these 2 games at least. It's just obviously 2 games, but it looks like Reiss will be playing 6 to be an energy guy, defensively, try and tackle, hold the ball up and drive and everything. And the Merino will be the more of a pushing forward and box to box and also tackles. Arteta is building also a team of giants because our Merino is like 6'1", 6'2". Reiss is also 6'1", 6'2". Obviously, our whole defensive line is legitimately 6'2" and above. Ironically enough, our goalkeeper is 6'1" or 6 foot even, so that's kind of strange. Our attack, on the other hand, all is below 6 foot if you only Kai Havertz is above 6 foot. That is again on the other side of the spectrum, which is kind of weird for me, in a way. He better say we are good enough at the end of the window, no creating. Exactly. Either you basically you have to sign at least one more player, which is an attacker slash forward, striker slash forward in general. Or you at the end of the window you say you've done your job and you believe and you're gonna win something. I don't need I believe in the players. I don't need we have done a good job. I need we gonna win something. I need this confirmation. I need something to hold them more accountable. Because it's good enough when you say some random phrases when you have to read between the lines. But at the end of the day, someone needs to get held accountable at the end of the day, at the end of the year, season, and blah blah, at whatever it ends, when something goes wrong or something goes right. Accountability is the best ability. Positive side accountable, negative side accountable. Someone will be held accountable. Someone needs to get held accountable. Because spending 700 plus million and not winning anything, something needs to happen. Tomiyasu, Tommy Setford, Gabriel, Mikel, perhaps they have a theory that common names lead to team gelling. Basically, something like that. Where's the high quality signing this year? Floor hasn't been raised. For me, the ceiling hasn't been raised. For me, the floor, in a way, has been raised. Because signing Mikel Merino kind of raises the floor, maybe, for the team, but doesn't raise the ceiling. For me, the ceiling needs to be raised. Because we have the same starting 11, pretty much what we had. And we need that one high-end signing up top to make a statement. And we haven't done that. We again have done everything decently. Let's just say we signed some big players to guarantee us top 4 for the next 4 or 5 years, in my opinion. Now we need to build on top of that. And I hope Kroenke does that, and Arteta and Edu. Because at the moment, it's like similar something like under Arsene Wenger. We go into top 4. Wenger says finishing top 4 is like a trophy. Everyone adapts that mentality, which in my opinion is BS. And we go from there. We sign players to keep us in top 4, but never push one step forward, which would be winning the league. And this year it somehow is the same. We have in the last few windows, we have done everything to get us back in top 4. We have last 2 years challenged for the title quite massively. And this window, it's all been flat. We have done pretty much nothing to make that extra step to win it. But again, that means if we do this, there is big accountability. Because if we sign a striker and Arteta doesn't win title now, fans will get angry. Fans will start complain. They will start throwing fingers and everything. And the ownership and the media don't want that, obviously. So that in that instance also, it's kind of weird. It kind of goes hand in hand with what happened under Arsene Wenger as well. Tommy Setford, what does he do? He is under 21s goalkeeper. He's England international for under 21s and he plays for under 20s. He's not gonna be our backup goalkeeper. 100% can tell you that much. It's just to get above the line, and it has been 4 out of 5 out window if we don't... Exactly, that's the thing. If at the moment it's about 4 out of 10 window. If we sign a striker, it's about 6 or 7 out of 10. I would say 6, because we have signed a striker. Yet at the same time, we haven't signed a backup for Saka still. We'll still, in my opinion, need another midfielder. And the goalkeeper situation is still a mess. Nelson is still here. So there is still many things to be desired. As always, doing somewhat bare minimum to keep everyone happy. It feels that way on a certain level, I'm not gonna lie. I want us to get Kvara from Napoli, but he's probably less than 1. There's no chance we are getting Quaradona. They are not getting Quaradona whatsoever. Napoli have said he's not for sale. If he would be about 150 million, something like that. And I don't think Kvaratskhelia would do good in Premier League. Doesn't strike me like that type of player. Genuinely, doesn't strike me like that type of player. Man flails around in training and is in pictures. Why? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that, Charles? Who is that, Charles? Who is that, Charles? Who is that, Charles? While I wait for your answer, let's swiftly move on. And here is the big one. Arsenal are hoping to launch a late surge for a forward this week, but the club are keen to see several other deals. Mikel Merino and Edu Nketiah over the line before stepping up attempts to recruit up front, ideally, and this you won't like most likely, versatile winger. No striker it is then, I guess. No striker it is then. It's gonna be a versatile forward. Now, obviously, it all remains with some context, because top gooners love context. It all depends what kind of winger it is and who it is. Because if we go to Real Madrid and randomly get Rodrigo, okay, cool, I'm not worried. If we go to Club Brugge, like we talked about yesterday with Skov Olsen, what the hell are you doing? Another Reiss Nelson. Why do we need him? Plus injury prone. Even more injury prone than Reiss Nelson. Why do we need that? Now that is the big question. Are we going for a Dingra? Or Arsenal will do something random like they did when we signed Thomas Partey. Almost deadline day or on deadline day, they go drop the bag on Nico Williams. Because I've seen some reports in media that Arsenal might go in for him. Now, I don't believe we will sign him because he said he wants to stay in Spain. He's gotten a Munyain's number, which is quite sacred number in Athletic Bilbao because he's been the captain. He's one of the big legends of the club, the recent ones at least. And it looks like he might next season move to Barcelona. I think he has been kind of promised that. It feels that way because they got this year Olmo. Next year it could be Nico Williams. But there are some rumors that Arsenal might get him. So that will be kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. Because if it's ideally a versatile winger, it could be just a winger. And again, Nico Williams' best position is left wing. Which again, if we sign Nico Williams with the third attempt, Arteta actually successfully will finally replace Martinelli. Because he has done it before. He has tried to replace Martinelli with Mudryk and other players. And you cannot sit here and tell me that paying 70+ million for Mykhailo Mudryk would be just for him to sit on the bench and not overtake and be star over Martinelli. You cannot tell me that. Genuinely. And I think Arteta on some level is not convinced about Martinelli. I strongly believe because one of the biggest issues with Martinelli is that he hasn't developed. He has the pace, he runs down the byline, he throws the ball behind the defender and tries to outpace him before the byline hits and he just can cross the ball. Most of the time. And most of the time, on top of that, he is trying to not let it go out for a goal kick. So it is a weird one. It is really a weird one. Obviously, this is according to The Sun, the most reliable source in the world, by the way. Everyone can trust them. The best source in the world. So obviously, don't take this for granted whatsoever, by the way. Now, what's happening? What are you talking about in the chat? You're talking about Tommy Setford. Well, Tommy Setford is well regarded as potential goalkeeper, but he's not ready whatsoever. He's definitely not ready. More realistic signing for we would be Brian Buemo, Takefusa Kubo for Saka backup. Yeah, or a Dingra. We have been linked with a Dingra quite in the last few days. Skov Olsen even rhymes with Reiss Nelson. Exactly, that's the case. That is the case. And I don't want Skov Olsen, bin him. Osman or Tony would send... Exactly, that's the case. Signing a proper bagsman up top, who can hold up the possession, distribute the play if needed, who needs to drop one shoulder and can put genuinely a cannon from his right or left foot and smash it top bins and score a goal consistently. That is what Arsenal need. On top of that, we need a player who is good heading the ball. Because we crossed the ball to Kai Havertz, and despite him being 6'4", his heading is worse than the nan that lives for me next door. So, no DD, pause, and all that stuff. Just saying. I've seen her genuinely play with her grandkids outside with the football, and she actually has quite a good tech. For about 56-year-old grandmother, she actually has good tech in football. I'm kind of surprised about that, by the way. yeah. Shh. What is the probability that we sign Nico Williams? I think it's about 5 to 10. I would say it's about 1 to 2%. That's my opinion. 1 to 2%. I think there's very small chance. Setford isn't even in the top 10 in Europe for under 21s. Well, he's the England international, and we need the homegrown quota and all that stuff, so that's why I think we have signed him. Plus, he was in Ajax Academy, very highly regarded, and I think that was the case. I think it's more for the future. The thing is, though, Arsenal have signed under Mikel Arteta 8 different goalkeepers. 8 different goalkeepers. That's the mad one. Yeah, that's the also thing. Who makes these top 10s? That's the big question as well. Because if you look at, for example, at top 10 football players in the world, yeah, these lists are hella messed up. Because this is 90% of the time it's based on GA, XG, XA, and all that stuff. Yet most of the time they just don't look at quote unquote the eye test, but how he takes on his opponent. Can he dribble the ball? Does he have a good first touch? Can he curl the ball properly? That's the big one for me. Have to go to page 3 to see this guy's name. So third page player. Page 3. So you have the Edu's 180 pages. Because Setford arguably was the third signing this summer, wasn't he? So you have the page 3 of the Setford. So you have the 180 pages of Edu's signings. So there they are. That's why we are so slow in transfer window. We got you, Charles. We got you. The number of players in the list that you never hear of, and yeah, that's also the case. But you have to keep in mind that many of these guys don't have the mentality. They think everything for granted, and they just think that the talent will take them to the top. But always hard work trumps the talent. Always. If you can manage to combine the both, you are world class. If you can't, you are class, or you just are nobody. One of the two. Anyways, in other news about goalkeepers, Arsenal hope to sign at least one more goalkeeper before the transfer window closes. They would like a replacement for Ramsdale, ideally Espanyol's Juan Garcia, as well as an experienced homegrown keeper to be the third choice. Now, here is the thing. This came out exactly 2 hours ago. Yeah? No, 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago. And a bit later on, here is the case. Fabrizio tweeted this. Fabrizio tweeted this. Arsenal have already reached agreement, so it looks like Setford, for fuck's sake, Juan Garcia could be on the cards. And on top of that, the thing is, the deal for Southampton to sign Bilov fell through. Now, Bilov's move to Southampton is off due to medical tests. Bilov's return to Feyenoord with immediate effect. Now, Bilov put a statement out on Instagram saying that Southampton's medical tests showed some prints of all their injuries. Obviously, you see that broken legs and stuff like that, arms and everything. You can see basically when do the tests. And he had an injury like 4 or 5 years ago, and Southampton obviously sees that in medical tests, and according to him, that was the reason he didn't pass the medicals. That's why they didn't want to sign him. Which obviously is very frustrating for Bilov, of course. And on top of that, it's good news for Arsenal, because after that, this came out. Southampton will assess options for goalkeeper position after BL deal is off. Aaron Ramsdale remains on the list, but Arsenal want a loan with obligation to buy. And the biggest thing is, Arsenal want about 30 million. 30 million for Ramsdale, if not more. And Southampton more looks like the team that's gonna get relegated. And if they get relegated, those 30 million, 120 grand a week look hella painful for them. Although if they sign him long term, that actually could be a good investment. Now, it all remains what's gonna happen, but yeah, it's not looking great in that regard. As they already 100% agreed on personal terms with Espanyol's Juan Garcia, basically Arsenal are sitting tight and patiently waiting what's gonna happen with Aaron Ramsdale in the coming days and hours, to be honest, as well. Now, there is also the place. Arsenal have informed Jakub Kiwior and his camp that he is not for sale. Despite the interest from Villarreal and Bologna on loan, Arsenal want to keep Kiwior at the club. Now the big question is, why the hell you want to keep him at the club? We have 5 left backs at the moment. Like, technically his best position counts as center back. But he looks great, well not great, but decent, in a 3 at the back formation, when there are 3 center backs. And Arsenal don't play that. That's why for Poland he actually looked somewhat decent. That's why he looked at Spezia somewhat decent at the time. And that's why I think for Bologna he actually would do good. Because they play 3 center backs. But in 2 center back formation he gets exposed quite a bit. He cannot play left back properly because we cannot invert for him, he cannot push forward. He's more exclusively a left center back. But why the hell we signed Calafiori then? Because he can play left center back as well. So it makes no sense that he is safe in this instance. It's a hella weird. It is genuinely hella weird for me. Hella weird. Exactly. That make it work. Football transfer is my secret. Use Kiwior exclusively as but we have players there. Like, we have, what's its face? Obviously Zed Calafiori. Technically Tomiyasu can play there. Like, it's quite overpopulated instancing for me. But basically back up to a backup, basically. But that's again too far. At some point, start investing better in youth. Chelsea getting next Neymar and we getting Disney. Exactly, that's also the case. Obviously, we have sacked the whole youth staff. We let go in 1st of July. How many, 25 or something like that youth players which signed for other teams now? Which I think easily we could have sold each of them for at least 2 to 10 million. Easily, to be honest, in my opinion. We could have made good money on that, but obviously Arsenal don't see it that way. But it is what it is. But our academy is it is what it is. It's kind of questionable at the moment. But Arsenal are trying to revamp it, so see what's gonna happen with that. Heaven, that academy guy, was good as well. Yeah, Nichols looked good in preseason. Heaven looked decent, although he got done over by Højlund, which just showed that he is not ready. Nichols looked good. Very good in preseason, in my opinion. Skelly obviously is gonna play for Arsenal. We'll see how that goes because he got promised game time and he was playing for under 21s the game before Wolves. Nwaneri, we'll see what's happened when he's gonna play, how he's gonna play, and if he's gonna play. Yeah, and as well, no minutes. No minutes yet for Nwaneri as well. That is also a big case in this instance. Nwaneri has played overall. My camera went out of focus. Very sorry. Hello, activate. Nwaneri has played 14 minutes in general at Arsenal in the main squad, which is not great as well. At some point he needs to play, doesn't he? At some point he needs some minutes. Now let's see. Give me a sec. I'm trying to refresh certain aspects. Top live. Arteta finishing pretty much, yeah. All this transfer attack, if we broke, lack of good youth, exactly, it's mad. We are not broke as well. We are not broke. Let's get it out of the way. We are not broke. We just don't spend money. That is also the case. There were some financial experts and everything that specialize in football transfers, football management, and financially, who talked about FFP and PSR and all that stuff on TalkSport as well. And there was one guy who had analyzed this quite in depth, and he said that seems like Liverpool and Arsenal claim to be PSR stricted, like an FFP stricted, just to keep fans off their backs in a way. Because based on the stats, based on the money and all the calculations they have done over the years and everything, what they can gather and everything, there should be no chance in hell that Arsenal cannot sign at least another 80 to 100 million signing. At least one more. Arsenal have about 150 to 200 million to spend still. And they're just not doing it. The question is why. The big question is why, basically. Nwaneri will be number 8 or number 10 maybe in the cups he gets gained. But that's not enough. We have sold Emil Smith-Rowe. We just loaned Vieira back to Porto, which means the first backup to Odegaard at the moment is Ethan Nwaneri, a 17-year-old. We're just generally gonna drop him straight into trenches if something goes wrong, if Odegaard gets injured, gets a red card or something. He's instantly in the trenches. And we haven't seen him in the big games like that yet. So who's gonna play there? Zinchenko? Oh, God help us all. Maybe Trossard can maybe fill in the role for 1 or 2 games. But overall, it's not that good. Especially if it's mid-Champions League run. And imagine, Odegaard gets injured when you have to go with Nwaneri at number 10 to play, let's just say, whoever, Atletico Madrid, for example. We're gonna get done over, eggs over easy, pretty much. We're gonna get scrambled, no spices, no salt, no pepper, no nothing. It might take Nwaneri dropped into the trenches for him to progress like Wilshere and Yamal. Yeah, that's also the case. Basically, you drop him in, it's sink or swim. Yet at the same time, it's very risky. Because if he doesn't keep up, and in this metaphor, he sinks, you can completely shot his confidence to pieces and he may not recover. And he might be, again, as you were saying before, one of those failed players on the top of the list you'll never see never again. Like we happened many times, happened with obviously Pato, but injuries and everything, but okay, Pato in this instance, Mastor, El Haddadi, Munir, Januzaj, Obertan, you can name everyone, Ben Arfa, there's billions of them pretty much, millions of them. That's the big risk you're taking, especially when if you have to drop him in one of the biggest games on the biggest stages. Sask did fine in that instance. Wilshere was somewhat decent in the first instance. Yamal comes from La Masia. So you cannot compare kind of La Masia to anyone else because the product that place produces is actually off the charts and it's hella nuts. Those players come out from their youth setup and instantly are ready pretty much to start for the most teams. Kubrasi at Barcelona is fantastic. Obviously Pedri, Gavi is really cool with injuries just like Pedri, but let's just say Pedri. Fazzi, well, not anymore, but in a way he's kind of half-failed youth at the moment as well. Well, in that instance, yeah, if he's generational, he will swim. That's no argument there. Similar like Saka. Players like Saka, for example, come out once in a decade, once in 20 years, maybe once in 2 decades. So Ethan Nwaneri has potential to be another star, in a way, quote-unquote, star ball like Saka, for example, right, for Arsenal. So we might actually, in 1 decade, get 2 players. Well, 2 decades, 2 players, but kind of in span of 1 decade, starting from when Saka rose to under Emery to playing left wing back and all that stuff, basically. Till now, it's 1 decade, basically. So we actually might get 2 of these types of players, because that's a very rare instance where you get those on that high level, that many. It's a very rare occasion. Obviously there are some instances like Ajax Academy, Real Madrid Academy, Barcelona Academy, when they produce them basically like, I don't know, like bread. Every one is almost amazing. But you get what I mean, I guess. Just because people can play a position don't mean they will succeed in that position. Lots of players can play multiple. That's also the case. You need to find the correct position for certain players. It's not a coincidence that what Arsene Wenger many times does. If you're a midfielder and you lose position a lot, you put him instantly out on a wing, youngsters. Because if you lose position on a wing, it's not that detrimental on a counter as you lose, for example, at number 8 spot. You're instantly screwed pretty much. Sometimes Sergio Ramos started out as a striker, moved to right back, then became world-class center back. De Gea was a striker, wasn't he? And then he switched to goalkeeping. And there are many of those instances when player starts in one position, then gets put in another position. For example, Jose Mourinho. Ronaldo before that was a left winger. Amazing left winger and everything. Jose Mourinho, one day, one game, halftime, puts Ronaldo up top. Since then, he has been a striker and broken countless records. You just need to find the correct position for certain players. So how come Nketiah didn't succeed? Hype was bigger than actually the things he could have achieved. Yes, he beat Alan Shearer's under 21 records, but what does that do if you cannot translate into big players? Yes, you may hope that some players are late bloomers, like Jamie Vardy, who just started at 29, 30. But most of the time, most of the players at this age, where Edu Nketiah is right now, should be somewhat established. But he's just not. Exactly. So why doesn't get the coaching blame? That's the big thing. Why nobody's get held accountable for these? Because Martinelli hasn't progressed under Mikel Arteta whatsoever. He still runs with his head down like a speedboat without a driver and crosses the ball in hopes it doesn't go out of bounds before that for a goal kick. Saka hasn't gotten that better. Just different systems, so he doesn't take his man on like he used to before we played a different way. Who else is there? How comes he didn't develop Fabio Vieira? How comes he didn't develop Sambi Lokonga and other players? You invested 30 plus million in Fabio Vieira. 2 years have passed. Goal against Brentford, red card against Wolves or Palace, and few key passes. Since then, stinker after stinker, or he's injured. Now he's back at loan at Porto after 2 years. 34 million wasted. 17 million on Sambi Lokonga. What's the point? The next Yaya Toure, the Belgian Yaya Toure's company advertised to us. That went well. Nuno Tavares, what happened there? Marquinhos, he's back in Brazil now, he's gonna come back. Scored a goal against Zurich for the Europa League, cried his eyes out, then stunk out the place, went on loan to Norwich. First game, goal and assist, since then did nothing, comes back, then goes out on loan to Nantes, does nothing, gets recalled back mid-season in January, gets loaned down to Brazil. No player development whatsoever. None whatsoever. Patino didn't get developed. Now for 1 million gets sold to Deportivo La Coruña. Hutchinson, no development, gets given away for free to Chelsea. Yes, we got some sell-on clause and stuff like that, but Chelsea sell him for 22 million to Ipswich. Like, there's no development, and nobody is getting held accountable for that whatsoever. I'm trying to call this out. I know other YouTubers are trying to call this out, but you cannot do that. You're being toxic and negative. Go support Spurs. It's like, you cannot win in this instance. Arsenal have about one every 10 years from our academy that reached exactly. And Ranieri potentially could be one that could be, we could have two at the same time, arguably. Saka and Ranieri, if Ranieri can manage the PR and everything, and he can manage the pressure he has been put on him at the moment. They invested in the guy got clowned out the club, easy to say not good enough. Exactly, it's easy to say he's not good enough. How about developing the guy? How about that? I think Trossard is also getting pissed with Mikel Arteta. He scores goals almost every single game. He puts in decent performances from the bench, carries the team, scores some crucial goals, while Martinelli pretty much has done nothing over the last year and a half for Arsenal. Yet he starts. Yet Martinelli starts and Trossard has to come off the bench. Yes, last year we decided to start Trossard for a small period of time. And it was the case. He scored goals and everything. He's the most clinical finisher we have at the moment in the club. It's just, there's no accountability for wasting about 200-300 million of those 700 on subpar players. How comes we have signed 8 different goalkeepers while Arteta has been here? 8 different goalkeepers. Why? What was the point? It's like he hasn't forgiven himself for selling Emi Martinez. And I kind of feel as well, we signed Raya only because we wanted Raya before we signed Ramsdale. We signed Ramsdale because Brentford weren't ready to let go Raya. We signed Ramsdale, okay, he helps us getting second first time. What Arsenal does when Arteta's new toy comes available, which we wanted before Ramsdale, he signs that, Ramsdale gets benched, now we cannot get rid of him because he has no value. Arsenal have ruined him, hasn't played him, has done nothing. Arsenal have showed they don't like him, they want to get rid of him. And who's gonna buy for 35 million a player when you evidently have shown that you don't want to play him, who has come on the interviews and said himself that he cannot focus for the full 90 minutes, and who complains to his dad that Arteta doesn't play him enough. Like, who's gonna take him seriously? And you have put him on 120 grand a week on top of that. And nobody's getting held accountable about that. Almost nobody's calling that out. Oh, but give him time. Oh, Edu is cooking salmonella for fuck's sake on his stupid barbecue. Buys a new jet ski and everything. Chills in Marbella. Tonight, Rayo Vallecano versus Barca. This could be a good game. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that game for sure. James Rodriguez has signed for Rayo Vallecano. I read that Rayo Vallecano also wants to sign Memphis Depay as well. By the way, did you watch yesterday's game between Villarreal and Celta Vigo? That was a nuts game. Wenger would have developed Nketiah into a much better player in my opinion. You said 1-1. I'm going 2-1 Barcelona. Ferran Torres and Lewandowski with goals. These guys have to live with these failures for the rest of their life. That's the thing. And Mikel Arteta doesn't get held accountable. And he gets a new contract for basically failing at the moment. That is the big issue here. Nobody is waiting for next year. Nobody's waiting till April to see where we are to extend his contract. We can extend it now. Why not? What the hell of it? Barcelona ain't far off. Get players don't work out. But what the hell has the coaching done to take these guys? Exactly. And the players who actually somewhat are working out also are not being coached properly. Yes, it's cool when you can manage the squad and everything. And even that Arteta cannot do to full extent. Looking at the subs and everything. He cannot coach them. Nketiah is good players. Oh boy. Oh boy. If you're a Crystal Palace fan saying that, genuinely good goddamn luck. You're gonna learn this the hard way. Genuinely, you're gonna learn that the hard way. Anyways, according to Gunner blog, Reiss Nelson has spent this summer exploring a move away from Arsenal. But with Fabio Vieira being allowed to leave on loan, there's now a significant chance he could stay. Enough said. Enough said. 100k a week, 5.2 million for another year down the drain. Come on, Arsenal. Ay, Dios mío, this is just, ay, jato. Like, imagine Saka gets injured and Reiss Nelson is your backup. To be honest, Reiss Nelson's best performances for Arsenal have been actually at left wing, not even right wing. Yet he doesn't play there that much because we have Martinelli and Trossard there. If you think about it, actually. But, it is what it is, I guess. Will Glasner play 4-4-2 as I don't see Nketiah getting ahead of... I don't think Glasner will change anything. The thing is that there are some rumors that the other striker, Edouard, might be leaving Crystal Palace. Some rumors for about 10 to 15 million, something like that. So I think that's why they have signed Nketiah. And to be honest, Crystal Palace have wanted an Nketiah for about 4 years now. 3-4 years? Still haven't signed him. They finally did it though. Another player. He was better than Saka supposedly. Why hasn't he got... Exactly, that's the case. He was regarded as being better than Bukayo Saka when he came out of academy. Yet at the moment, he's half the player Saka is, arguably. Obviously, he doesn't get game time, so we don't know how he looks. He still lives off the hype of the goal he scored against Bournemouth 2 years ago. That's why he got the extension, genuinely. Because it would be no difference to put him, let's just say, 4 years, 5.2 million. That's 4 years, 100 grand, 5.2 million a year. That's 21 million almost. For 21 million, you can actually sign a quite decent winger who is better than actually Reiss Nelson. Let's just put it out as it is. Let's be real. Let's be genuinely real. He hasn't got a better, but for me, Reiss Nelson actually is a better left winger than right winger. That's the thing. For me, best position for him is actually left wing, interestingly enough, not right wing. Yet Arteta, he's getting played at right wing most of the time. Maybe that's why also we don't see the best out of him, in my opinion. That is also, in my opinion, a big case in this regard. In that case, Eddie will be behind the striker like Edouard does. Not sure how that will work. I have no idea. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. Don't care. It's a Crystal Palace and Glasner problem now. For me, he's out of the club. We have 25 million in the bank. We change our phone numbers. We change our bank details so they cannot get a chargeback from us. And we swiftly move on. That's it. I'm not gonna lie. But it is what it is, obviously. But banter aside, he had to move on, and lucky he did. Good luck to him at Crystal Palace. Already seeing opposing fans Opposing fans say that it will be peak when Nketiah scores the winning goal for Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Already seeing that on social media, by the way. All true, we robbed Palace. Arguably, club's a mess. Signing third-page players, not developing them, not winning under 21 titles, not doing what's required. To be honest, we are third biggest club in England. Although we are close to being fourth, not gonna lie. Third biggest club in England. Arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world follow fan base wise. One of the, I would say top 15th, 16th, I think it was. I don't remember. One of the biggest clubs in the world. We should be able to go to smaller clubs and say, we want that player, here's the money, shut up and let's go. We don't do that ever. We never sign proper young gems from other teams. How comes Liverpool signed, for example, Robertson, right? From Hull City. Look what he did for them. And everything. Like, there are not many occasions Arsenal have done that. Arsene Wenger did perfect job in that. Signing Vieira, signing Thierry Henry and other players. Arsene Wenger was perfect for that. Arteta has no clout, no pull whatsoever. That's why also we cannot sign many world-class players. Because that was the reason why we moved to Emirates. We need to be Champions League spots to sign the world-class players. Yet we sign none of them. Yeah, that's the thing. All the banter and everything aside for Edu Nketiah, I hope he does well in Crystal Palace. Obviously. No, like, no hate, no nothing. Hopefully he does well. Like, genuine. But we can banter about him. He's not our player anymore. Not our club, mostly. Now, the thing is, according to Sky Sports, and here are the striker talks, so brace yourselves, by the way. Chelsea are unable to get close to Saudi Arabia's offer for Sarri for Ivan Toney. A deal can only be done if both wage demands and fee is reasonable. There are some rumors circling around that Arsenal actually are thinking about putting in 40 to 50 million pound bid for Ivan Toney in the last few days. There are some rumors circling around this. Where it's gonna happen or not remains to be seen. Because the money that Saudi can offer, no chance in hell Arsenal will ever offer. So let's get that straight instantly. And here's on top of something like that. Chelsea and Al Ahly remain the two clubs in active talks for Victor Osimhen. So there's no chance that Arsenal are gonna get him. So we can put this guy to bed, basically. We are not signing Victor Osimhen. Chelsea and Al Ahly both are talking. If Chelsea are going to sign Victor Osimhen, it means also that Ivan Toney is free and open for business. So that also raised the question, could Arsenal actually go in for him? And we spoke briefly about Aaron Ramsdale and him moving to Southampton, potentially since the Bilofdal went through. Here is the big one. Here's the big one. Wolverhampton Wanderers closed to reach agreement with Crystal Palace to sign Sam Johnston. Deal not yet done, but the club's working towards a fee of 10 million for Crystal Palace goalkeeper. Wolves ready to give 31-year-old England international contract till 2028. Sam Johnston is 31. I thought he was about 25. Okay, my bad. So, the big question is, will Crystal Palace come back at Arsenal to try and sign Aaron Ramsdale? Because they technically have the money still. They technically have the money, especially if they sell Gehi, they will have the money. So there could be a world where they come back to deal with Arsenal again and forget Aaron Ramsdale. Will it happen? It's just a speculation. Most likely not. Just a thought putting out there. There could be a thing where, let's just say, like domino effect, which is the big catchphrase this transfer window, when it falls in line and Arsenal actually get rid of Ramsdale for proper fee. And I think since he wants to move to Premier League, there's actually is some type of happenings. There could actually be some case in that regard. Yeah, blame Arsenal on the Nketiah affair. To be honest, that affair is nuts, not gonna lie. It's on both fronts all over the place. It's nuts. Big up coach in the chat. Big up, big up, big up. Big signing is loading. According to reports, rumors, and everything that's circling around at the moment, all over the place, there are rumors that Arsenal will be signing a big player in the last days of the window. At least attempt to sign. I just hope it's not the Arsenal PR move when they put in a bid, they don't sign him and then a window shuts and, oh, but at least we tried. Nothing of that. I just hope Arsenal go in with a proper bid. There are talks about Tony. There are talks about Nico Williams potentially. I've seen something about Gyökeres still as well. So there are some players Arsenal actually could be go for. So not sure what will happen, but it is what it is. Nketiah is Nketiah is the all-time under-21 goal scorer. He beat Alan Shearer's record and everything. So that is the big case. He is the under-21's goal scorer. But unless he can transfer that to Premier League, kinda means nothing in a way, doesn't it? In a way, it kinda means nothing. Because you can, for example, at your job, you have 5 interns applying for the same spot. Everyone gets a trial period for 3 months and everything. You can be the best goddamn intern there is. Genuinely. Be the best one, break the records in sales or whatever you're doing. But as soon as you get in that main spot in the team, in the management, in the office, if you cannot perform, doesn't matter what you did as an achievement. In a way. Because for Nketiah, it's very weird at the moment. Good luck him in Palace, by the way. Good freaking luck. Big signing lot. There are rumors. We just have to hope it happens. Genuinely, I hope it happens. We link with Osimhen. That's not happening. Sterling. That's also not happening. Gyökeres. Same as beginning window. Exactly. And Gyökeres is the only one we have some actual interest in. Because Sterling I don't see happening. There's some Chelsea, United and all them stuff rumors. Although Sterling seems like an Arteta signing. Knows the player, has coached him, has the relationship, stays in England and all that stuff basically. I hope it doesn't happen, personally. Osimhen, we just talked about Osimhen. It's more likely that he's gonna go to what's its face? To either Saudi or whatever he's gonna go, to be honest. Arsenal always move in silence, someone not even linked. The thing is, there's 3 days left in the window. There's no silence. You pay the money or you bugger off, basically. We have dragged this out for way too long, in my opinion. Month and a half to sign Calafiori. Month to sign Mikel Merino. Way too long. It's too late for this silence movement, I think, genuinely. Nketiah can be like Darren Bent and Jermaine Defoe. Late... Yeah, that is the only case. Nketiah could be a late bloomer. The thing is, he has broken the Alan Shearer's under-21 goal scoring record and all that stuff. The thing is, hopefully he hasn't shot his load early. Pause. Hopefully he hasn't done everything there. He might be a late bloomer, like Bent, Defoe, Vardy, of course. But at the moment, I haven't seen anything that would justify the fact. He hasn't scored a home goal for a year, since October last year. And he hasn't scored an away goal since December 2 years ago. So that is the big thing. He hasn't scored. Yes, he doesn't get as much game time, but at some point he needs to score. He has shown that he cannot finish consistently. He needs many chances to score. He's very wasteful. His first touch is questionable most of the time. He trips over his own feet or the ball many times when he has the ball. Yes, he has shown some great movements, dropping the shoulder, some turns, some great runs as well. But he needs to do that more consistently. And he's like a fox in the box. Also that type of striker. And he is very suited for teams that play kind of on a counter and when there are open spaces. He's not suited to play the way Arsenal play. Like when every opposing team is camped on the edge of the box or in the box, playing low mid-block. He's just not suited for that in Arsenal as well. Similar like Emil Smith-Rowe. He's just not suited for the system we play basically as well. What's your strongest first 11 to play Man City? Oh, big up Henry for the question. Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Partey, Reiss, Odegaard. I think it's two. Although we play Man City in 3 weeks, so Merino might actually be up to the speed. It's after international break and Spurs game, and Champions League game, by the way. So I actually might play Merino. Depends on how he looks in the team, obviously. And in attack, I hope it would be Saka, Havertz, if we don't sign a striker, and Martinelli. It has to be Martinelli, and Trossard has to be a sub in this instance, I think. Because Man City play a high line, and Martinelli with his pace hopefully could do some damage to that. That's just my opinion. The thing is, if we sign a winger, let's just say Nico Williams, I'm starting Nico Williams. Shut up and I'm doing that. If we sign Gyökeres is starting instead of Havertz, and Havertz is holding bench like his dear life. That depends how the transfer window ends, basically. We have 3 days in the window. Depends who we sign at the moment. Who we sign for the forward spot as well. If it's a starting caliber player, like a massive signing, then it actually, of course, changes the starting 11 in general. We won't register our interest before the window closes. I don't think there will be interest whatsoever. It will be similar like Partey deal. We will obviously for Partey before that was interest, but same has been with Gyökeres, Nico Williams. Those are the easiest 2 deals Arsenal can make in this transfer window because they need to talk to player. He's ready to move. Drop the bag because it's a release clause. That's it. So those are the 2 easiest deals to make at the moment. And I think those are the only ones that Arsenal are objectively could make actually only in this transfer window yet. Because I don't think Arsenal could actually negotiate a deal in 3 days. It doesn't look that way at least, given that we have to sign last year contract Merino for a month. It doesn't look like we could do anything in that regard, genuinely. Anyhow, let's see. Any news in this instance? Wolves close to agreement for cheap and Ramsdale alternative. Yes, we talked about that. Exclusive Fulham considers second Arsenal raid as Arteta ponders future 20 million star. Are they getting Nelson? It's Nelson news. That's according to Team Talk, so take that with some grain of salt. But Fulham are considering raiding Arsenal once more before the transfer window shuts on Friday after their successful purchase of Emil Smith-Rowe, Marcus Silva, Fulham side secured the service Arsenal Academy product 5-year blah 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 blah. Fulham have made a number of quality signings. They're assessing and joining a free. Obviously Sanderberg. Yeah. Although Fulham also allowed the Reed to leave the club, have flying at the Matrore at their disposal. Dadzama, yeah. Now Team Talk can reveal that they are looking at Arsenal's wideman Reiss Nelson, who is very much on the fringes of Mikel Arteta. Hey, yo, could this happen? We could actually sell him? That's kind of mad one. Maybe the deal had been done already, just no. That is a possibility. Because Arsenal tend to sign, for the last 2 years, Arsenal have signed a player out of nowhere. Because Timber was pretty much out of nowhere. And Fabio Vieira was out of nowhere. So that actually could be a big thing. Do you think Martinelli could flourish as a center forward? Yes. The thing is, when Emery was still here, when Emery was still at Arsenal, he was molding Martinelli to be a number 9. Because if one thing Emery is good at, it's coaching strikers and getting the best out of strikers and dealing with them. And I think if Emery would have stayed, he would have made one hell of a forward out of Martinelli. Especially the one that gets in behind. Because he is actually pretty decent finishing product if he gets confidence in. Martinelli actually could do the case. The way Emery actually played, under Emery, Martinelli as a center forward actually would work like a charm. Under Mikel Arteta, he just doesn't work. So this instance, if Emery was here, yes, he would flourish. Under Mikel Arteta's tactics, when everyone camps on the edge of the box, no chance in hell Martinelli would make a number 9. He would be a very bad and very wasted one. Yeah, basically as FIFA tactic. Old Martinelli could, now its confidence is gone. It's not as much as confidence even, it's the fact that we play different style. Because every single team against us pretty much plays a low mid block. And there's no chance in hell we can get in behind and run them on counters, for example, and stuff like that. Because we don't have that luxury. Everyone's just camping. And Martinelli just wouldn't thrive in that. It's similar like Pepe. Pepe at Lille was running in behind and having lots of spaces to run into. As soon as he came to Arsenal, he was a bit misused, but when he came and Arteta came in as well, just didn't work. Just look at how he's playing at Villarreal, absolutely brilliantly, to be honest, in a way. He had a brilliant game yesterday. Nutmeg 2 defenders, passed the goal, assisted for a good goal. But yeah, for me, Martinelli under Arteta doesn't work. I saw Martinelli as a Vardy profile or something. Kinda. Nope, CBs would take his legs. That's the case. In Arteta's system, yes. If he plays under Emery in the center forward, it would be a different story in my opinion. Martinelli is still our best close control dribbler and paciest players. He just needs to get... The thing is, it feels like he has lost a bit of pace after that injury. Because even in preseason and even in games he has played in this season, he's been caught up pretty easily. And Matty Cash got injured. 18-year-old Nedeljkovic comes on. A guy who technically is a center back but can play right back if I'm not mistaken. And he clamped him up. Didn't take him on once. Didn't get past him once. Like, there is just not just confidence, there's just also skill issue. He instantly pushed him back. I think Martinelli kind of is losing it a bit. I feel like he's lost. I also feel that he has lost a bit of pace, definitely. He doesn't blitz, that's the thing. He used to blitz past defenders and just catch them out when he throws the ball by them and just runs, which Adama Traore excels brilliantly at, to be honest. If he had proper cross and then product, he actually would be a pretty decent winger in that instance. He just scores for GA. He doesn't have the tech to do so, but it is what it is. Martinelli, it's the same thing. He doesn't outpace any more defenders. He gets caught up, he gets out-muscled, and even though he gets to the ball first, he gets overtaken and gets shoved off the ball many times. And that is the case. I think he has lost a bit of pace, genuinely. "23 is young too, but his injuries has done something to him. The injuries he has had. Because he looks slower than he used to be. Genuinely. Even last year in preseason in the MLS games, he just blitzed through everyone. And this year it just doesn't look that way. Either it's his confidence, either physicality, either he's not fully ready after the injuries, or that he has still heavy legs of preseason, but he just looks slower. Genuinely looks slower. Not to mention the fact that he doesn't get the Saka treatment with 3 defenders, genuinely just gets yeeted in the legs every single time he has the ball. He should be able to take on the defenders, but he cannot do that. He got caught up by Matty Cash. He got caught up by Nedeljkovic. He couldn't get past him. There's something in that. Yeah, the loads have been on him insane. But Trossard, when he plays, he just does better. And I think Trossard should start over Martinelli. Maybe Martinelli needs a reset. Who knows? But for me, he looks like he is missing something. Mentally or physically as well. Who knows? But he's just not ready anymore. And I think Trossard should start. Maybe it would reset Martinelli somehow. But again, I reiterate my point. The fact that there have been 2 or 3 times Arteta already has tried to replace Martinelli already. And there must be something to it as well. Because you don't pay 70 plus million for Mudryk to make him a starter. You don't try to sign other wingers on big money to replace a Martinelli. You don't try to sign even Nico Williams in this instance. He has to start as well. It's weird. Merino doesn't have the technical ability yet. He needs a coach, but we don't have a coach that coaches players. Arteta can manage here or there, and even then doesn't manage properly to the full extent. And yet he doesn't coach the players because there is no player development at the moment at Arsenal. Martinelli, it hasn't gone better. Lokonga, Vieira, Savage, who else is there? Like many players we have signed, Kiwior even. None of them have gone better. They are the same or pretty much regressed a bit. Exactly, that's also the case. If Trossard starts, yes, he hasn't had the best starts at times when he starts, but he has better technical ability and he's a much better finisher. He's the most clinical finisher we have in the team, in my opinion. So yes, he might be good as an impact sub, but Martinelli needs a wake-up call, and maybe dropping him might actually do the trick on some level. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, but anyways, guys, I think on that point, I'm gonna end it today. It's been brilliant having you here. It's been brilliant talking to you. You have been fan-freaking-tastic and phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for chatting with me. Thank you so much for interacting. If you're new around here, of course, don't forget to subscribe, smash that thumbs up and everything, comment in the comments, in the chat box and everything. And hopefully, tomorrow, we have signed another player, or we have a proper interest in someone. We'll have to wait and see, because there are still reports that Arsenal will sign one more player. Well, I guess we have to wait and see who it be. Hopefully it's a big one. Generally, hopefully it is a big one. But for today, I'm gonna peace out. Take care. Have a great evening. Have a great day tomorrow. Take care. Stay safe. Big up.